Now let's speak to David Tinkran Chum, who is the General Secretary of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, to find out whether this has come to their notice and what they make of it. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Very traumatizing story, if you ask me. Has it come to your notice? Have you been briefed on this matter?
Good evening, my brother, and good evening to your listeners. Indeed, it has come to our notice, and I must say that it's quite a traumatizing event. I share in the grief of the family, and I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere sympathy to the family for the loss. The incident came to my attention only yesterday, and I quickly called the Volta regional chairman of our association to move to site and investigate the matter. Luckily enough, I've gotten the contact numbers of the two nurses that were purported to be involved in this matter. So I handed over the numbers to the gentleman, and he quickly started the investigation. I must say that the account that has been presented to us ran a little contrary to what was captured on the front pages of Graphic and some of the media platforms. I can understand the difficulty the family finds itself, and it's not easy to lose a relative. I have worked in a hospital for a very long time, and when you lose patients, as even a nurse, it's not easy. The psychological trauma that you have to go through, especially when you think that you have given the best that you could.
Very well. But do you think in this situation, I don't know how different the two accounts are, but before I get there, do you think that the lady in question, Linda Idua, was given the best of treatment or care?
Well, based on the account as expressed by the family, which, as I've said earlier, runs contrary to the accounts that our preliminary investigation has elicited, she wasn't treated fairly.
But what does your account reveal?
Well, our accounts reveal that the woman, yes, reported. It's a private facility. I want us to establish that it's a government facility. It's a private facility. And they may have certain policies that are inimical. I can't just understand for the life of me that any proprietor or head of facility or whoever would tell nurses or the healthcare personnel not to receive or to receive money before treatment is given. After all, if a patient comes and is that urgent, you need to at least provide the basic tenant of care to the patient. And I think that based on the account as being said, they could have done better, even if the case was that bad. I'm told that wasn't the first point of call. This patient had bled, had a history of bleeding for the past 2 weeks before she was transferred to that particular private hospital. And the nurse they met, the female nurse, is actually has not been posted. She just qualified, and is one of those nurses who have not been posted, and I'm sure the hospital has engaged her services. The other male nurse was not even at the OPD at all. He was working at the ward, and he had to be called to assist in the situation. It is that male nurse who is our member. The female nurse is not yet our member, but that notwithstanding, it's something that borders on nurses and midwives, and of course, life of human beings, which is so precious. And I cannot say that because the person is not a member. If the person
exactly my point, because I wanted to ask whether that mattered at all, because it's a life in question, and thankfully the person is gone through training and is a nurse. Only that the person is not being posted yet. I don't know how it works, but does it mean that the fact that the person is not posted, the person is not qualified, to deliver service? Is that the case?
Well, not necessarily. Once the person has been licensed to practice by the regulator, the person can work in it.
And you just told me that it wasn't the first, the account, so the lady was bleeding in the past, etc. So knowing this or knowledge of this should have made them treat her with some urgency. You don't think so?
Exactly, to even refer the case. So that's what I'm saying, that let's see what happens. As I said, our investigation is preliminary. I cannot make any consequential deductions from whatever we got. We are still investigating, because if anything, they needed to do some documentation. All right. I mean, the account of the patient relative is that they didn't even check the vital signs.
Exactly. And I wanted to find out that what are the protocols? If a patient or somebody sick, a sick person walks into a facility, private or public, what are the first things to do? Because I know some temperature or vitals at least should be taken. Or do you pay before? What are the protocols?
No, precisely. That shouldn't even be mentioned. I mean, that shouldn't be mentioned. And that is why I detest the malfunctioning of the national health insurance. But that is for another discussion. But whatever it is, life is precious. And we need to attend to the patient at the point of care, irrespective of the fact that the patient has money or not. So, as you've said, the protocol is that you have to, of course, depending on the exigencies of the time and the patient's acuity, you want to admit the patient to bed and quickly check the vital signs, which is basic. All right. And depending on the readings of your vital signs, you take such actions that will be necessary to if you like, resolve any difficulty. And you call in the doctor. If you think you can manage it, you call the doctor to come and assist. So basically, as I've said, I am not too convinced with the accounts that I've gotten, but I think that maybe after the investigation is concluded, we'll be able to come to a certain determination. As I said.
Very well. But did your account include whether or not they were given a referral letter to the bigger hospital?
Now, looking at the situation, providing a referral letter will even be difficult. Now, if I'm to listen to the lady, the account of the lady, and looking at the exigencies of the time, you may not even have that opportunity to even sit down to write a referral letter. You understand? So that is where sometimes a certain level of urgency ought to be attached, okay, to be able to save the situation. You can accompany the patient, a nurse can accompany the patient to that major health facility if they think that it's a dying emergency and nothing can be done about it before those paperwork are done. Yeah, so if you sit down and say that we are waiting for a referral letter to be written, by the time the referral letter is issued, the patient is dead and gone.
Very well.
Urgency ought to be brought to the situation to save the life of the patient.
I appreciate that very well, and that's what we all expect or expected. But I don't know if this has come to your notice, that especially nurses on night shift, they are always fixated and on their phones, whilst patients sometimes struggle. And it's a similar situation that is played out here. Are there any rules regarding the use of phones whilst on duty? Is there any rule around that? Have you guys thought about that? And have some of these reports about nurses on duty being on phones whilst patients struggle, have these things come to your notice? And what have you been able to do about some of these reports if they've come to your notice?
Yeah, that has come to my notice. And as an association, we have taken remedial steps to correct some of these ills among few of our members. Not all the nurses that will do that. And I have witnessed one myself. When my uncle was sick and a nurse was on mobile phone while dispensing his medication. And I quickly had to intervene, all right? So, yes, you may have some few bad nuts that are making life a bit difficult for all of us. So just about 2 months ago, we ran a workshop on the usage of mobile phones and social media and stuff like that. So we are taking them through series of education to prevent all these things. And it's unfortunate this has happened. And I'm sure those who are listening will take a cue from some of these things. Because, look, people can be dragged to the court of law and be dealt with. And your license can be withdrawn. NMC has come in, the regulator. I heard you people mentioning Ghana Medical and Dental Council. I don't know where they come in here. The body, the entity that is mandated so by law to regulate the practice of nurses and midwives is Nurses and Midwifery Council. And I believe that they will do the needful. If they are found culpable of anything in terms of negligence of duty or whatever, I'm sure they will not be shelved. They'll be dealt with. And I know that there are instances where certificates of nurses have been withheld. Just that we don't publish it for everybody to hear. So it appears as though nothing is done in such circumstances.
I think you should start publishing it so that everybody else will know. Everybody will know that the regulator is not just sitting without doing anything.
I believe that if they are found culpable, as I said, the investigation is going to be thorough. We will make sure that we don't shield anybody. All right. If they are found to be culpable of anything, they will be dealt with appropriately, so that it will serve as a deterrent to the rest of our colleagues. It is very disheartening to lose the patient. I keep telling my nurses that, look, we cannot continue like this. You understand? Because public sympathy is extremely important. I mean, nurses are running away, of course. I mean, I realized that the lady was on duty. She was alone. That's why the male nurse was sort of drawn from the ward to be added. All these things, boils down to the migration and the exodus of nurses and midwives that we are having. It's even worse in some of these well-known hospitals where you have fewer nurses breaking their back and so it certainly will affect patient care and patient safety. But let's see how it goes. I believe that we'll be able to come to a certain determination to correct some of the ills that is plaguing our noble profession.